And I'm going to talk about love. Love is the only truth. When I sat down to prepare for this talk, I thought perhaps I should see what's already been said about love. So I pulled out a pair of CDs I had purchased when I was in ministerial school. One is called Dr. Ernest Holmes On, and the other one is New Thought Writers On. Each one is a compilation of quotes gathered by Reverend Catherine Neville Smith, which she, who was an early focus minister, whose focus is supporting other ministers, had prepared in 2016 and updated in 2011. I thought maybe I could find a thought or two that would give my talk a little zing. Well, buckle up, folks, because I have gathered together a survey of New Thought teachings on love. I'm going to start by just sharing some quotes, and then I'll talk about some things that none of these folks mentioned. Thank heaven there was something none of these folks mentioned. And I hope that you will enjoy this survey of love as much as I enjoyed preparing it. The key is to just relax and listen with the ears of your heart. So here we go. Ernest Holmes wrote in Can We Talk to God? If we make ourselves receptive to the idea of love, we become lovable. To the degree that we embody love, we are love. This is why people who love are loved. He does not pay to hate. Hate is a human idea, but love is a divine verity, a truth. And in the Science of Mind textbook, I got a bunch of stuff. Starting with love this is one of my favorites because it's the first one I ever heard. Love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. It is the very reason for our being. And that explains why it is that people should have something or someone to love. The life that has not loved has not lived and is still dead. Love is the sole impulse for creation. And the man who does not have love as the greatest incentive in his life has never developed the real creative instinct. No one can swing out into the universe without love, for the whole universe is based on it. All life is bound together by one common law of love. And love is the self-givingness of spirit. We'll do that one again. Love is the self-givingness of spirit. The two great commandments are to love God and our brother man. On these hang all the law and the prophets. Love is a complete unity with life, and we cannot enter this state unless we are in unity with all that lives, for all life is one. To love God alone is not enough, for this could exclude our fellow man. To love our fellow man alone is not sufficient, for this would be too limited a concept of God. When we realize that God and man are one, not two, we shall love both. We shall love man as an expression of God and God as the life principle in all. Here's another one that just made me jump up and down. Love is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. It is written that God is love and that we are God's expressed likeness, the image of the eternal being. Love is self-givingness through creation, the impartation of the divine through the human. The essence of love, while elusive, pervades everything, fires the heart, stimulates the emotions, renews the soul, and proclaims the spirit. Only love knows love, and love knows only love. Words cannot express its depth or meaning. A universal sense alone bears witness to the divine fact. God is love, and love is God. If we look at that long enough, we shall become lovely, for this is the way of love. God is love. And from Words That Heal today, I love the idea that words can heal. It is when the self goes within the gift that it becomes an offering of love. My grandma used to tell me that. She said, Sherry, when you give somebody something you made, it's more valuable than any gift you could buy because you give them part of yourself. And that part of yourself is love. The intellect and heart must go hand in hand. The altar of faith is profaned unless the gift laid on it is one of love. Nothing can profit us except it be of the nature of love. And in 1953, when I was only 3 years old, Ernest Holmes partnered with Raymond Charles Barker to write his second daily reader. It was called then 365 Days of Richer Living. Now it's just called Richer Living. And one year I use this one, and the next year I use 365 Signs of Mind, back and forth, back and forth. And this one, chock full, but this is the one I picked. When we let the love that is within us go out to the God who is in all people and the divine presence that is in all things, then we are loving God with our whole heart, with our whole soul, and with our whole mind, because we are recognizing that the spirit within us is the same spirit that we meet in others. This is loving our neighbors as ourselves. Every heart responds to the warmth of love. Every mind yearns for its embrace, and no life is complete without it. Love really is the fulfillment of the law of good. And in 1960, his final year, Ernest co-authored with his brother Fenwick The Voice Celestial. It's an epic poem, an homage to the Upanishads of Hinduism, so it could not omit love. And this is what it says. Love meets you on the level where you stand, becomes to you what you become to it. Be thou aware of love, and love will be aware of you, responding kind for kind. Isn't that lovely? And even after he passed in 1960, people kept putting together compilations of previously unpublished works. He wrote a lot of stuff. So here's some more from that posthumous publication field. If we would look for a God of love, we must look long and deeply into each other. We must look away from the differences until we penetrate into the unity of the whole. Love alone reveals love. Hate but hides the gleam. Love alone shall discover the heart of God at the heart of man. Love alone shall reveal the self with a capital S to the self with a little s, and find enthroned in the high citadel of the secret place of God in our own heart that beneficence which embraces the whole world. But love is also forgiveness. Love overlooks the little differences that we have and finds a point of reconciliation with others. Love creates tolerance and human understanding, without which we become really divided against ourselves, and without which we almost unconsciously become filled with criticism, condemnation, and false judgment. No one can be happy or enjoy the greatest fulfillment in life until he has come to see that most people try to do about the best they can. And when we are able to reach out beyond the indifference and the coldness of life and reach through all intolerance and unkindness, only then do we meet that divine center which is forever established within every person. Love must go forth to meet love. All people are rooted in God, and it is only as we go down to the roots of our own being that we unify with others in spirit and truth. And love is a language which is universal, interpreted through every living soul and understood by all. Love will find the solution to every problem, will answer every question, and will ultimately vanquish every foe. Love begets tolerance. Tolerance begets understanding, and understanding which is able to put itself in another's place. That's it for Ernest Holmes, but there are a lot of other writers in New Thought, and so I picked just a handful of them. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote a book I just love, a little tiny book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And she said real love is selfless and free from fear. It pours itself out upon the object of its affection without demanding any return. Its joy is the joy of giving. See, there it is again. Love is God in manifestation and the strongest magnetic force in the universe. Jack and Cornelia Addington wrote Your Needs Met. And in that book, they said, love walks in. I love this one. Love walks in and opens the door when all else fails. There is no problem on earth that love cannot heal. Love is the answer to every human need. And from Wayne Dyer, Staying on the Path, very short, love is forgiving and love is for giving. Isn't that cute? I love it. Lastly, from my very first CSL minister, Reverend Dr. Chris Michaels, his book, his first book, Your Soul's Assignment. If loving is our soul's major purpose and assignment in life, then we have to be sure we're making time and space for our most important priority. Clearing away our reasons and excuses as to why we're not worthy of love has to become our top priority. And then letting it out. The love we hold inside has to follow as a close second. I had so much fun finding this wisdom to share with y'all. It felt like I was loose in a yarn shop. I love to knit and crochet. And oh, look at that one. Isn't this marvelous? Gosh, I never thought of that perspective. Truth is, I could probably just stop here and your heads and hearts would probably be full. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I want to ask, what did not get said? These wonderful spiritual leaders, teachers, writers, have offered an excellent discussion of love from the God perspective. So what's left to me is to offer the human perspective. What I used to call, when I taught computer science, the so what factor. Why does any of this matter to me, to you, to anyone? Who doesn't know how important love is to human existence? Who doesn't know the pain of love lost or the joy of love found, at least in theory? It matters because the most important part of understanding and appreciating love as the essence of the divine is knowing that it must first be directed at yourself. As the Buddha taught, and so has every other great spiritual teacher, we cannot give what we do not already have. So it follows that we cannot give our love, which is just divine love focused through our human hearts, if we do not first experience it ourselves. We cannot be the truth of what we are unless we allow that truth with a capital T to express in, through, and as our own self with a capital S. My wonderful friends, Reverend Dr. Melissa Philippe and Reverend Z. Egloff, have a beautiful video and refrigerator cards to go with it. They are on my refrigerator. That says love is the only truth, and the only truth is love. If we are true to ourselves, if we recognize and embrace our divine nature, then we absolutely acknowledge the truth of who and what we are. Who is a perfect expression of God, unique and wonderful. What is love? That's all there is to it. We are love. Infinite, eternal, unconditional, and divine. So here's your homework. For the next week, I invite you to go into your bathroom first thing in the morning and last thing before bed, looking into the mirror directly into your own eyes. Say, God loves you, and so do I.